Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Excellent Celeste, am I worth anything or just a scout? I don't know. Spending time all alone, sending my songs through the phone, dreaming of a better home, while focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the brujas let this last.
I don't know if the earth is painted blue.
That was great sounds of Watson with Outside on WNHH-LP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, with my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made, EZ Bluez is in the building. Easy. You are better with introductions more than me on Behind the Brand. Who do we have here today with us today?
Ladies and gentlemen, I am so honored to have this man on air with us today. He is a content creator. He is a podcast editor. He is a sneaker head. He has been on radio. His podcasts are absolutely phenomenal. And for those who don't know, he is the home run champion of Talking Shop, Mr. Emilio Sparks.
You're far too high with that one, sir.
Well, that's why they call you Balls Deep, because you're a home run champion.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Guys, what's up, man? Pleasure. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for being with us today. Just tell me about yourself. You've been in the podcasting game for a long time. How long has it been for you?
Well, I mean, I've been in the radio space professionally since I'm 18. I've been in the podcasting space pretty much since its inception, when it was just like, when there was actual, podcast, like, what was it? Like MP3 player devices that Apple had, so that's how long ago, when they were big and clunky, and then they were like small and delicate. And now they don't even exist anymore. So I've probably been in the podcasting space for about 10 years as well.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
It's a living.
Oh, absolutely. And I think things worked well for you because, man, you're just like us. You're a big wrestling fan. Everything just kind of went together for you organically. Tell me about that whole transition.
Okay, so I was doing my own podcast called Wrestle Rap, which is every Saturday. You can check it out on iTunes, Spotify, pretty much wherever you get podcasts. And I was at Sirius XM for about 10 years. So in the middle of my last year, when the podcast really exploded and was starting to get the attention of WWE, I had an opportunity to go in for what became a job interview. I didn't know that that's what it was. And the next thing you know, I walk out of my meeting at WWE with a job to help launch and develop WWE podcast for their podcasting network that currently runs.
So you're working with different types of people. You're working with Corey Graves. You're working with the New Day. You're working with just numerous heads.
I was one of 3 people to help launch, create, and initiate those 2 podcasts.
Awesome. Now, is Jeff Jarrett still with the company? Because I hear he's doing a podcast as well, also.
For them, I don't know. I'm not there no more. So I know Jeff was. I know Jeff was a producer,
okay.
But I don't know if he's hosting a WWE podcast. He might be hosting his own podcast, and I think that might be through. Yeah, and I might be mistaken, but I don't know. But he might be with Conrad. A big shout out to the Podfather. So he might be with Conrad. But either way, I mean, salute to Conrad doing what he's doing.
He's been really amazing too. I know he did his thing with Kurt Angle too. His podcast is definitely out of this.
Yes,
definitely learned so much. But let's be some nerds real quick. Who were your favorite wrestlers growing up?
Oh man, growing up it was really weird. I wasn't into like the pop and circumstance of I don't know. I like to bump and feed guys. So Randy Savage, Tully Blanchard, Ravishing Rick Rude. I like that. I didn't need, I didn't need I like obviously like Warrior as well, but man, you give me like a Sting, a Flair, guys like that pop up, pop down, and feed, duck, boom, up, down. Those are my guys, man. Those are my guys. So.
We're talking early days. We're talking about like 1980s, early 90s. Back then, those guys.
Those guys. Even obviously, Stone Cold Steve Austin was a game changer. How can you not? It was just, he was just fantastic. Everything about him it was so compelling to watch. He, to me, and even before he broke his neck, I even told him this. I was like, you were probably one of and he likes to call himself a mechanic in terms of just doing what he needs to do job-wise. But I told him, you were so good. You were so good as a pro wrestler. And he said thanks or whatever. But I don't think he was clean in the ring. Everything that he did was just so smooth. Watch his stuff as Stunning Steve Austin in WCW when he was wrestling Ricky Steamboat for the United States Championship. And even watch his stuff before he broke his neck in WWF, right before that SummerSlam. It was so good. And then he was that talented where he took the consequences of a broken neck. Right. And he did what he was able to do. I mean, the guy is just, hands down, probably the greatest professional wrestler.
To agree. Go. But Easy. Tell me why you love this Talking Shop podcast so much.
Well, it's honestly, I'm really become a lot more of a fan of wrestle rap, by the way.
Thank you.
But no, it's you talk about what a lot of people are afraid to, and and I really, really like that. You give the full point of view, and you're still able to leave some bit to kayfabe. Obviously, you might know a little bit more than like myself or Prestige about what's going on. I said a little bit. I didn't say a lot of it. I said a little bit more. So, but you still are like, hey, if they're gonna do this, they would be smart to do it X, Y, Z. You hold every brand accountable, which not a lot of journalists do. If we're being honest, they usually pick one or the other. You're either super mainstream Walmart or you're on the indies type of feel. But you're like, hey, NXT is great for just being the wrestling show, but hey, how about some characters? When you first started talking about Cameron Grimes as the first person to really catch your attention on NXT for the character-based aspect. You're one of the few people that still talks about how important that is moving forward. And I really appreciate that.
Oh, thanks, man. I got a great co-host that I can bounce off of. That's just as open and honest, and the mighty Vince. Big shout outs to Vince Forte. But yeah, man, I don't know. I like to, and we all know social media. We all know like the Reddit game. We all know how visceral, venomous it can be when you're critiquing something. Sometimes you critique it with such a viciousness just to get yourself over. And I was never one of those guys. I was always into, here's the thing that I like about this, and this, where possibly does not work for me, in my opinion, is here, and here. And it's never about the performer's work. It's always about what the company is able to do with the performer or lack thereof. That's how I look at it. It's not about, wrestler X is bad and here's why. It's never about that. It shouldn't be about that. That's not what this is about. You as a podcaster, a producer, a radio host, a journalist, whatever, you need to come at it from a neutral position about everything. And you can't, yes, critique, but don't be negative. And I think that's the thing that people are forgetting. you really have to be neutral in all of this because there's so much to watch.
Right.
And there's a lot of good wrestling there. So if you're just one specific like brand of ice cream, man, you're gonna miss out on everything else. So like eat them all and then like review what you like and what you don't like about like the specific flavor of ice cream you just ate. And so I think that's key. That's key. I think people forget to do that, you know, but there's also a way to be how can I put it? There's also a way to be there's also a way to give criticism without being a douche.
Yeah. Constructive.
Constructive criticism.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. And it's one of the things that I really, really enjoy about Wrestle Rap. And the interview you did with Dan House was incredible because while everyone else is jumping on the bandwagon of this character, you interviewed the person. And to be honest, never really knowing anything of Dan Housen before, only seeing a couple of things, listening to that interview really sparked it for me. And like, I now know this is a person to look out for, you know, to talk about myself for a second, because cheap pops and promotion is important. You know, my band just released a single. We're doing phenomenal on Spotify. So we invested in a cameo with Dan Housen because I know within the next couple of months, he's going to be a super hot commodity. So having that in our social media, having that in our lineup makes sense. And so thank you for that. You kind of bridged that gap and I really appreciate it.
Oh, very cool, man. Yeah, he's special. And, you know, he gave us the option. Hey, I can do it in full gimmick or it can just be me. And, you know, I was like, you know what, it's more special if we get to know the performer that is the Dan Housen character. You know, where did it come from? What was the genesis of it? You know, how did you get here? Where are you now, as opposed to how you started? Talk about the trials and tribulations, what worked, what didn't work early on. Where do you see the character going? Where do you pull inspiration from? What do you like personally? You know, like, what are you into? And I think that's the thing, because there's always this like social and performative aspect that sometimes does not get talked about. And when you have a dynamic performer like a Dan Housen who mixes the macabre and comedy and spooky, and it's pretty much on the fly. It's very ad-lib. You know, there's elements that remind me of Upright Citizens Brigade and doing stand-up comedy, but using you know, like an acting method with it, whether it's Meisner, Stanislavski, or you know, one of those like inside the actor studio type of methods. You know, it's that. It's very improvisational. You know, everything it does, it's special and unique, and it comes in these quick bursts. You're never getting like a full like hour, 2 hour. You know, you're getting the right amount of Dan Housen at that specific moment, and I think he's so conscious of that, and I think he's so self-aware of how good that character is that he knows when to read the room to when to get in, when to get out. I think he's fantastic. So I just wanted to talk. We and me and my event, we just wanted to talk to the man. And
that's awesome.
That is definitely very awesome. Now, for the average listener, tell everybody how hard podcasting, because it's not really easy to think about. There's a lot of hours you put in, a lot of editing that comes in with it, and you know, it's really dedication when it, not just breakdown to the listener, like how much of your actual.
Well, luckily for me, by trade, I get paid to do this now, and I'm responsible for 5 weekly podcasts.
Okay.
So I'm constantly on my laptop, like, constantly. Like I'm constantly on my laptop. I don't stop. But you know, and again, the pandemic kind of had to make us all think and adapt on our feet.
Absolutely.
Where you can work, where you should work. Now like the world has become my office.
Right.
I can be anywhere at this point, and I am. I'll edit. Like I was in Tampa, and I was editing in Tampa. I'm gonna be in Dallas. I gotta edit in Dallas, California. So like I can literally go anywhere as long as I have some good Wi-Fi during like my sessions or whatever. But it's literally, you gotta, if you're a good producer, you're talking to your host and helping them bullet point and do show rundown before the actual show starts. So you're doing all that, you're collecting all that data. Then you're literally there and you're recording the podcast with them.
Right.
And from there you do all the other stuff, because it's a huge task, because you got to remember now, Rogan changed the game. Not only do you have a podcast, but you also have to have a YouTube component as well. So, and you guys being on terrestrial radio, this. We were doing this, and I was pushing my host when I was at Sirius for the shows that I was producing. They needed a YouTube element, and they needed social media polls, because you're going to reach a wider audience than that specific time of day that a listener tunes in for you.
Yep. So
that was kind of the game changer. So now you have to work with, if you're not doing it yourself, a videographer. And then if you're not on a bigger network, you got to work with a social media team. Tell them, hey, I want X, Y, and Z time-coded and clipped for social media and for YouTube. So like specifically Renee Paquette's show, Oral Sessions, I produced that. And I got a really good video editing team, very good social media producer. So, after every show, we'll be like, okay, here's what I need, guys. Here's these clips that I think work. Would you cut these for me and then I upload them to YouTube, and then, so on and so forth. And then they cut for the social media components as well. For a show like Talking Shop, it's, hey, I hit up my videographer. This is what I need. And cut these, and then we post them. And then the same thing go on and so forth for all the other shows that I work on. It's everything. But you also got to edit the thing too, and you really got to mix it down. I'm from that like terrestrial radio school. So like everything has to sound clean. Like even just the slightest hint of reverb, not too much, just a little bit, a little something. You need compressors. You got to take out M's, ums, likes, lip clacking, and people breathe very weird. If you're not trained to breathe from your diaphragm, you will hear doubles, triples, like, people will breathe like that. And I will go through it with a fine-tooth comb. And I think I probably work harder, not smarter sometimes in that aspect. But I rather something sound really good and perfect, something that kind of sounds a little bit more earthy in regards to like just an average conversation. I like that cross between NPR and Mark Maron sound. So that's what I like to emulate with every show that I produce, everything that I put down. And then luckily for me, I have on speed dial a engineer who mixes and masters multi-platinum albums.
There you go.
So if I have a mixing question, I just hit him up and good to go. So
that's awesome.
On WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City Bay, Bluez in the building. We got the great Emilio Sparks on behind the brand, and your answer just pretty much just brought me back to broadcasting school. My teacher was just so literal in every single sound, and I'm very happy that someone outside of my talking circle talked about the ums and the uhs and the likes and the whole deep breathes and little awkward pauses in between. And it's so really difficult just to take that clip out and each program that you do. It can really be so tiring. I imagine that was way back in school. I remember, I think it was like 2011, just like hours worth of just taking out chunks like background noises. So I totally feel you with that whole relationship and that whole.
Yeah, and it's funny. I also used to teach an after-school program for a high school.
That's awesome, man.
They wanted a podcasting. Me, a teacher, you know what I mean? I am not a teacher in the conventional sense, you know what I mean? But I really connected with these kids levels. So I kind of told them, yo, you can't polish the turds. Don't give them turds.
Word.
Pass them off as gold. You can't do that. Here's what we're going to do. Here's the sound file. It sounds disgusting. Make it very tedious. I want you guys to be mini me's.
Yeah.
So, you know, I would tell them OCD editing, make it happen. And here's the parameters in which you have to work in.
Right.
This is Adobe Edit, Adobe Audition. So here's what you need to do. Equalize, normalize, compress, normalize. You know, use the parametric EQ, get familiar with certain things. The mastering tool is your friend. Going to sound pretty and crisp and clean. You know, what do you want to do, guys? Want it to sound like, you know, disgusting, or do you really want it to sound gold, shiny? And they did. Let me tell you something. Some kids can edit now. So
they can. They can. I got to give it to them. This Gen Z crowd or whatever generation we are in now, they're very, very adaptive when it comes to the technology that we're in now. And it's really a blessing. And
we didn't have that. We didn't have that growing up. We didn't have that in our, like, I remember learning Pro Tools was like the big deal. And even that has jumped by leaps and bounds as well. You know, even at my local college radio station, they weren't teaching editing or production class. It was just baptism on the fire. Oh, you want to learn how to use the system? Go figure it out.
Now, actually, with everything you just explained and how meticulous you are, being a fan of talking shop, how crazy does that drive you? Because to me, that's just unfiltered chaos.
Yes.
Like, funneled into an hour of ridiculously.
Okay, so I've learned when working with the Who, Gallows, and Rocky Romero, when I control the sound, I'm good. When I can't control the sound, just mix it to the best of my abilities, and that is it. Luckily for us, Roadcaster just sent us a whole bunch of recording equipment.
That's awesome.
So we might, you know, hopefully the boys will use when they're on the road. But I think the organicness of that program dictates a little bit differently in terms of sound. I think it's all in the edit. I think it's edit. You know, sometimes you leave a little bit more on the chopping block, just because, you know. But I'm always a fan of what's called Quentin Tarantino editing, where I'm going to take something that's said at the beginning and maybe make it at the end. Take something at the end and put it in the beginning. So, you know, I will. Oh yeah, it's a mishmash. So I'm so meticulous with it. You would never know that I would take something that maybe like, because they'll. So the good thing about them is they like to tell stories, right? But they never finish the story. So they'll jump into something else and then go back to the original story that they're talking about, let's say with 10 minutes left to go on the show. So instead of having them jump around, I just take that piece, put it where it needs to go. So as an editor, if you're confused editing your project, your listeners are going to be confused when they listen.
I agree.
So you got to be really on the game and you got to pay attention. And that's when, you know, so, and that's why I like Tarantino it sometimes with that show. Let it stay in its own chaos. You know what I mean? That's why that show works. You know, it's open and honest, and it's as organic and as transparent as anything is ever going to be. But if it's well edited and put together and you're not confused, that is a good indication that, okay, this show works in chaos because there's a system and an order behind it.
Right.
It's
And that's what
the chaos that you deal with.
And they, Gallows, Anderson, and Rocky Romero, give me that creative license to edit however I see fit.
That's awesome. That is awesome. That is, man, listening to the show and now I'm going to go back and listen in with that scope so I can see if I could try to find the feel. But
you'll never hear the top. You'll never hear the top. You'll never hear
I'm not. Yeah, that's the best. That's amazing. That is so very very interesting. Like I said, now again, I'm going to talk about the show just a bit. What you can mention on terrestrial radio? What is your favorite episode of Talking Shop that you can mention on terrestrial radio?
Oh man, there's actually a few. There's actually a few. I think Eric Bischoff one we did.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because he talks about WCW, but then he also talks about what's going to be a Dark Side of the Ring tune, which was in Korea show.
Yep.
And he really gets into that, which I thought was great, and more about Eric Bischoff as well. And it doesn't come from a WWE telling of Eric Bischoff. He actually comes and he talks about, the struggles and wanting to work in AWA with Vern Gagne, and then, the opportunity to do what he did in WCW and some of the ups and the downs. It's a really fun episode. There's a lot. When they Don Callis is another great episode.
That was a great episode.
Young Bucks have been on twice now, and they've been great. So,
wait. Speaking of that, congratulations on your redemption. Great job. Congratulations. For those who don't know, the Young Bucks tried to call Emilio out, saying that he was talking some trash on the Twitter sphere, which is very in character. I really love what they're doing and how they're expanding this new character that they're working on. And I love how awkward it is. I think there's beauty in that awkwardness. But so they kind of threw Emilio under the bus, and this week's episode is actually titled, Emilio cleared, redemption for Emilio.
Well, it was a long conversation with a lot of facts, and we, Machine Gun being a sleuth that he is, he had his, he's the gumshoe of gumshoes, and that's my brother. Really got to the bottom of it.
Right.
I didn't say anything. Legit. You can look at my social media. I don't talk smack. I mean, we discussed that before. You your podcast isn't a vicious one.
Right.
So it's just never my thing. Besides where I was raised and where I grew up in Staten Island, you talk two sides out of your face, you're getting smacked up. So that was something I was just never into. It just wasn't my thing, And so, and I ran with a circle of goons that never really talked about anybody. We just what they, what we were. So that just wasn't my thing. I mean, also the way I grew up, my father says 6 words, and I've never heard my father talk about anything. So, Dad, how was your day? It's fine. Oh, all right, cool. That's what it was. It never was anything else.
Right.
But yeah, they're great guys. Talking about performance art in terms of Danhausen, what they're doing is performance art. They're changing what people have this preconceived notion of them, and they're really running with it, and it's working. The Bucks are so tuned to everything that they do that they know, okay, if we change the slightest minutia, it's going to work for this reason, and here's the reason why. And I think that shows a consummate performer and how good a performer is. When you can switch it up and it constantly evolves and gets reworked and retweaked every week. Besides their in-ring work, their in-ring work top notch, but the character work is it's chef's kiss. They're fun to watch and they're fun to talk to. So I look forward to see how the characters progress, and when I see them, I can't wait to give them a brother hug.
That's awesome. And now here's the thing. Here's the thing, and I'm glad you did mention this because we're all fans of the business. We're also, everyone fantasy books. But what seems to be the writing on the wall for the business in general is everyone kind of this working together aspect. And it seems, I'm going to say seems because anything could happen. It is anything for anything. It seems like to me they're building up to, original Bullet Club coming to the U.S. to feud with United States Bullet Club or the Elite Bullet Club. That seems to be what this big payoff is going to come to. Now, there are points where it seems to be a stutter step due to restrictions and different things like that, but it also seems like they're enjoying teasing. I know you don't know, or we're not even going to pretend, or allude that you might know. But do you feel that as a fan, or am I just grasping at like hope?
No, I mean, from what's laid out in front of us, it can be like, yo, here are the telltale signs that this is my thing, and
right.
Interpromotional matches that doesn't, that's very, very rare. That don't happen often, specifically on television. Whoa,
right.
Like this is crazy.
Right.
Like the Forbidden Door, man, it's open and you're getting some really good and creative stuff. And why not all work together in a specific way? Why not?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you have so many able bodies that are so good at what they do. Let's start plugging them in where we need them right now because we're still in a global pandemic. So like, and wrestling is always so reactionary and in real time that you constantly have to figure out what works and produce the TV for that week. So if that's where they want to go with it, man, that's a beautiful thing because, I think everybody wants that BC OG versus Elite Bullet Club for so long, like Japan teased it for a very, very long time. And it came to a head at that Long Beach show.
Right.
And then, it never came to be just for circumstances, beyond its control. And, now we're seeing like different variations and inclinations come back together. And now like, oh, wait a minute, the puzzle piece is really starting to take shape now.
Right.
But there could be a possibility of doing that. Like, the old adage and the old cliches, never say never in wrestling. So if that's where it's going, oh man, that's storyline of the year territory. It's also matches of the year territory.
I agree.
So you look at those, and you look at the roster of performers, and then include social media on top of that, and then other shows and other vlogs like BTE and Thomas Island, and all those other little incidentals wrapped around like how to promote professional wrestling. Besides just doing it on television, man, you can go anywhere with that feud. So yeah, it's something that it seems like they tease. So hopefully it becomes a reality. I know for me, I want to be there. You know what I mean? So I want a shirt that's half full of Club OG and half Elite, so I can just be there and be like,
well, see, I love also how you mentioned that the hidden forbidden door. WWE just announced that they're doing the partnership with MLW. Which I think, MLW. And I think it's going to be a great idea. But, Triple H went #Forbidden Doors open. And I kind of felt like, oh, man, Karen just used that cool term. I can't use it anymore.
You could. It's just everything now is the thing. It's the thing. Everything always is going to be a thing, and everything needs to have a hashtag, and everything needs to have a certain cachet to it. And, now that, and they're going to jump on it because it, what Tony Khan and AEW and Impact have done has been, it hasn't been seen. At one point you can see Omega on Impact. At one point you can see Moxley on New Japan Strong. And, that's because you might be like, whoa, wait a minute. Who's, for a casual fan that may have never watched Impact before, but they're fans of Omega, now they're going to see really good talent from Impact Wrestling that they may have never seen before. You know, they're going to see Fire and Flavor. They're going to see Chris Bay. You know, like they're going to see Jake something. You know, they're going to see a really talented roster of individuals. And then they might be like, wow, you know what? I really like the presentation of this show. I'm going to watch, you know, or, you know, like Mox is going to Strong. Oh, wait a minute. Whoa, he used to wrestle as Dean Ambrose. Oh, man, this show's really cool. Oh, I like this show. Adrian Quest is on it. Chris Bay's been on it. Leo Rush. You know, the guys from the LA Dojo. Clark Connors, the DKC. Carl Fredericks. Oh, wait a minute. Chris Dickinson. Filthy Tom Lawler. You know, Brody King. They have Rocky Romero's on this. Oh, I got to sit and watch this now. Like that's where to me, it's really cool. So if WWE does that with their part, and I don't know the specifics of that, but it sounds like to me the not ready for primetime players for NXT could probably go there and work with an incredible roster of individuals like Jacob Fatu and Myra. You know, really, really solid competitors that also should get a shot and work on NXT as well. If I see Myra Reed on NXT, I mean, my brain's going to explode and ooze out of the side of my ear because of the excitement. Jacob Fatu's one. So, you know, I think that's cool. It's what Vince was doing with ECW. Like, you know, they couldn't figure out what to do with Al Snow. So he went and really developed Al Snow and the head gimmick in ECW. And WWE was paying Al to be down. But Al was wrestling as Al Snow in ECW. And he really figured it out there. And then when it was time and ready and it was over, all right, now you come back here. And now you can do this here. So I think if that's where they go with MLW, which is going to be on Vice, very, very cool. Big shout out to Court Bauer, man. Always making it big time.
Nah, it's awesome.
So you see more into promotional business in the future?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think so. I don't think you need to sign a professional wrestler anymore. I think you could sign. If I owned something that was huge, I would sign you for spot dates. Okay, like we'll do a little territory. You know, like here's the deal. I want you for 6 months. I'll pay X, Y, and Z. Here's what we'll do. Do with this, and this. You got to have it all laid out. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know. But yeah, I would like to. I think we'll see more. I definitely think we'll see more. I mean, we've seen it kind of sorta in NXT when Tyler Breeze took on Jushin Lager. Had to take. I think it was like take over New York 2 or something like that. I don't remember. It was like SummerSlam weekend.
Way back in like 5 years ago.
Yeah, and so you know you saw it there, WWE for a little bit. What AEW, New Japan, and Impact are doing is really cool and hasn't really been done before. Now, if we could just figure out how, you know, ROH can get into the mix, I'm great with it because they've been doing it with NWA. They had Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb. So I mean, you know, me personally, I love Thunder Rosa. She's just so fun to watch, and I like how she was booked in AEW. I think her and Britt had feud of the year, and you know, and they might have match of the year because that match was so good. So you know, like if you can continue to do that and you work with the talent that you want and you develop the talent in a way where they both look good. Oh man, let's do it. And AEW does a really good job of that.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Good job too, Emilio, and we definitely appreciate you on Behind the Brand on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City Made, who I slightly interrupt out of disrespect, though. But continue your question, man. Go right ahead.
It's like for like the real hardcore wrestling fan, you have to understand this Wednesday, the New Japan United States Championship is being defended on AEW TV.
Great.
That's huge.
Great.
Like that's huge.
Great. And it's against Nagata. So, you know, now you have a built-in audience where it's really great wrestling and you come in and you watch it. And, you know, even if you're not a purist and you really don't watch Japanese wrestling, right? But you're seeing how reactionary and how everybody's really like getting excited that Nagata is be on AEW and going to be on TNT to work, you know, that really should pique your interest to go back and do your Googles and watch stuff, you know, after all these years. So I think that's cool. And, you know, I think Moxley is he's money no matter what he does. And whether it's on Bloodsport, whether it's for AEW, you know, he cracks the code and he knows what works for him. And I said it on Wrestle Rap, you know, I was like, yeah, there are a lot of behind the scenes players that really were the ones that constructed and made the Forbidden Door, but you needed somebody to have Kenny Omega walk through the door to start all this. And it starts with Jon Moxley. And then, you know, Kenny goes off and does this fantastic run and some brilliant heel work. And now he was able to go to Impact. And then Moxley is able to bring the United States Championship for New Japan onto AEW television. So it just shows like how interconnected everything in the scope of the universe actually is. You know, if we want to get hippy dippy for a minute, you know, I believe in connectivity in the universe. And you know, but why not have that connectivity in my wrestling as well?
I agree.
Emilio, I hear you're a big sneakerhead. What are some of your favorite brands? Tell us.
Okay. I had a little Nike sponsorship for a little while, so I was wearing Nike for a while. A lot of Jordans. I got you know, I'm a big 3 guy, so but I like to keep it the original threes. You know, if I do a variant colorway, it really has to like tickle the pickle. Like the cool gray 3s, I got those. I had to get those because I just like the colorway. And I mostly wear all black anyway, so I like my shoes to pop the outfit, right? I really fell in love with Adidas as a brand and what they, you know, and since I get to work from anywhere, I'm wearing track pants anyway. So if I'm going to wear track pants, then it's going to be 3 stripes because it's going to take me back to my, you know, Run DMC. I want to wear that, you know, and I like wearing tracks. You know, the Boost, probably the most comfortable thing in the world, man. Love wearing Boost right now, you know, but I a lot of Yeezy, you know, not
easy.
I like, you know, the Wave Runners in some of the colorways. You know, I like those. I like to call them the old people shoe, the orthopedic 500s. My grandfather, you know, may he rest in peace. Last time I seen him, I was wearing my 500s. And just for fun, he put his foot next to my foot, and the shoe looked identical. So we got a good laugh out of that. And then I put his my. He was like, "Oh, these are comfortable." I was like, "Yeah, man, I should get you a pair." But I go, "Brother, aftermarket resale value is expensive, so I don't think you're gonna get one." But you know, I thought about getting one. So those are them. I have a pair of OVO Champagne 6s. So I got those. I like those a lot. A couple of 4s, some 1s. But man, you give me a Jordan 3, which I think is the prettiest crafted shoe. I think it stands the test of time. You know, some Air Maxes as well. And so being a kid that grew up in New York City, it was Uptowns every summer. You know what I mean? So I literally just bought a pair of those because I bought an entire like hoodie and then Nike wovens. I was like, you know what? I wear all black. I need a pair of fresh Uptowns, low top. Let me do those crispy white socks. Let me just run around these streets looking like that. So that's where I'm at with it right now. But give me a 3 all day.
All day?
Yeah.
Now, I have a question, though. Do you rock the 3s with your Roadhouse hoodie?
Yes. Absolutely. I thought about wearing the Roadhouse hoodie today, but I thought, you know what? Like, let me not. Let me not be antiquated and dress down. That's a brother hoodie and a half, man.
Yeah, no, definitely.
You know, but yeah, I'll rock my shoes and anything, man. Like, if you know, if I could figure out how to levitate so they stay fresh forever, I would learn how to just float in the air, just to make sure like they don't crease and they don't scuff.
Nice.
Like even when I was on the road with WWE, like I had a system of how I would pack a couple of sneakers and take them with me. Like, you know, I had a separate. So I had my gear, I had my clothes, and then I had my sneakers.
Okay.
So you had to, but yeah, man, no, threes all day. Cements. I got a pair that they're over there. I got a pair of old school threes that are just beat down, but they're my favorites. They're my daily wear, right? Kind of like everybody's daily rider, right? So like, but they're destroyed. And I was talking to my friend who's a graffiti artist, and now he likes to repaint the threes.
Nice.
So I want these shoes to last a little longer, make them look a little prettier. So tomorrow I call him oh, you're my cobbler now. So it's like sneaker cobbler, and he's gonna go and he's gonna repaint them. It's gonna cost me $160, but that's okay because now they're gonna last forever, and I don't have to open up the box with the new ones that have been sitting for like 2 years now. I can wear them on a special occasion. So like I like the one the rock, one the sock thing. But that's it's a sickness. It's a sickness.
That's a cool sickness, though. I mean, it could be so much worse.
Yeah, it's an expensive sickness, but a sickness nonetheless.
I saw
I
think it was about like $800, just one pair. I forgot what it was. I don't know. It was Air Maxes. I knew it was something of Nike. It was $800, just one pair alone. And
what was that resale value?
I think it was resale value. Yes. And
well, I'll tell you this: the holy grail for me,
right?
The pair of Yeezy Red Octobers from Nike. Those are selling right now in my size because I have like a baby foot. I'm a 9.5. Those are selling for $15,000. No, cents.
Oh, okay, that works then.
No, of course, 15 G's, man. I can't wrap my head around 15 G's, you know, and you know, like I have a couple of friends that work in high places, and you know, there's always been this rumor that he's gonna re-release those sneakers.
Right.
If he does, I'm calling in every favor that I ever know, and I'm getting them from hell or high water. I won't get them if they do release them. I'm getting them, and I'm buying probably 2 pairs.
That's awesome. That's amazing, and it's funny because you were talking with Sasha Banks' husband about those particular pair on Wrestle Rap about 2 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, man. Big shout out to my homie Sarat, man. Just for all proceeds go to autism awareness, which was last month. So let's not make it a month. Let's make it a year-round discussion. But yeah, man. Even his sneakers now are his Theodoras are there's retail value for them, you know. So they were retail, and now they jumped up several $100s on StockX.
So pretty much sneakers and Bitcoin. That's what you need to get into. Sneakers and Bitcoin.
Oh, I have Bitcoin. I have Doge. I have, you know, I have. I think it's called Iridium. I don't know. I figure it's better than wasting my money on other things. So if I invest a little, buy a sneaker, maybe an action figure or two, good.
Yeah. That's amazing.
With so much little time left for the broadcast, Emilio, unfortunately. What was your best memory with Brody Lee?
Oof. Oh man, that's the whole podcast, bro. That's a whole episode of the radio show.
Gotcha.
I think it was we're in Indianapolis. It's one of my, I don't know, maybe my second or third loop with WWE before I started to become a regular on the road. And I got to see him and Biggie, because when you go to TV, it's you get busy. And I was busy doing what I was doing, and they were busy doing what they were doing. And we just got together. We got to hug. We told each other we loved each other. And they welcomed me in. They gave me a little tortie. And then we were able to snap a photo together of the three of us working together. And after that, Brody was out.
Yeah.
So, and then he gave me some advice, the do's and don'ts of the road. And I took that advice to heart. And and then just talking to him every day.
Right.
That is something that I'm and it's about anything. Yankees, baseball, MMA, his kids.
Right.
Something nonsensical that I would tweet them, or I would text them about, or something, and then we would talk about it from there. My dating life, and I would get advice on dating life, and then just things of that nature. He was just such a good soul, and he was a realist, and he had a good BS meter. So if he loved you and knew you as a person, you were good. And if he didn't like you, you would know that.
Right.
And I was fortunate enough to be on the side that he liked. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, man, I love him and I miss him, bro. So I mean, there's so many really good stories, but it's just talking to him every day was a pleasure. I miss him.
Definitely. Emilio, it's been awesome having you here on the show, man. I got a minute. We have a minute left here behind the brand. We always get this last minute just for our guests only, just to plug any social media and any upcoming events that our audience might be interested in. So right now, this time is yours. Go right ahead.
Okay, so if you like professional wrestling, hip hop, sneakers, all that other stuff, you can listen to Wrestle Rap, WRASSLERAP. Find out how you search podcasts. I produce Talk the Shop. I produce Oral Sessions with Renee Paquette. I produce Bear With Us with Corey Graves and Carmela. I produced Corner Made with Michael Chernow. I was on season 1 of DJ Khaled's first ones as a producer, which is an Amazon exclusive. For all that stuff, do Google. And as for me, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Emilio Sparks, EMILIOSPARKS. Throw me that follow. I'm looking for that swipe up feature. I'm almost at 8,000 on Instagram. Let's get your boy to at least 11,000 so I can start promoting my brand of nonsense with the cool swipe up feature. You dig?
Emilio, thank you for being on Behind the Brand on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. Great to have you, man.
Appreciate y'all, man. Stay great.
Too. Take care.
Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just discount? I don't know. Spending time all alone, sending my songs through the phone, dreaming of a better home, while focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the Bluez let this last.
I don't know if the earth is painted blue. I don't know if that's really